Welcome back to Germani Fanfic Fanatics. You're here with Carrie Ann, Holly, and Tracy. And today, on our very special episode, we're doing some one-shots. And listen, I could not be more excited. I read a lot of one-shots, so this is a pretty this is a pretty big deal for me. So I will preface this by saying that I kind of count anything as a one-shot if it's 1 to 4 chapters, and I know that that's kind of like I'll end up calling them 2 shots or 3 shots or 4 shots, depending on like how many chapters they are. But that's what this episode is anything 4 chapters or less. So just so you guys are aware, we have each picked a different one shot to discuss. And we're going to be starting with Tracy's. She has chosen the lovely fic of Height by Senlinyu. It's 1 chapter, 8,777 words. This one you can find on AO3, fanfiction.net. I found it on a website called Wix.com, W-I-X. That's the first time I've seen it pop up.
Wow.
And then I wasn't sure if there were audio versions out there.
There are for Height and for Come to Me, but none that I could find for Hey Princess, so.
Okay. Just a little thing, audio people.
Yeah. I listened to them all.
Yeah, if you think that we don't want to listen to one-shots, you're wrong. You're wrong. We would. So put it out there. So, anyways, we'll start by discussing Height. So, Tracy, why did you pick this one? Tell us why.
I chose this one because this was among one of the very first. Oh my God. This is among the first fics I've ever read or like one-shots that I'd ever read that made me give one-shots a chance, Like I never really wanted to read them just back in the day, because they were just there to be porn, honestly. Like it was just there to be porn. And I read this one and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is incredible. I bet there's a lot more out there like this. And lo and behold, there are. So if you're not into one-shots, they are very good. It doesn't
get into them
for smut.
Yep.
So yeah, this is just a normal Wizarding World fic. There's nothing.
8th year.
Yeah, 8th year. Voldemort's dead. They're back at Hogwarts. That kind of thing. So it's like I said, it's less than 10,000 words. So this could be read. I'm a very fast reader, so I know don't take my word for it, but I think I read this in like half an hour max.
I was gonna say about like half an hour to maybe 45 minutes.
This is pretty quick. So
yep.
And it's written by like the goddess herself, Senlinyu. So yes. I mean,
it's gonna be good.
It's gonna be
oh yes.
So I mean, and that wasn't. I actually did not know who Senlinyu was when I first read this. I had read this before reading Manacled, so I was just kind of like, oh, this is so good, cool. And then I discovered Manacled before it blew up. I'm super cool, guys. So
you are. How long have you been in the Germani fandom?
Oh, I don't even know. Over
Tracy,
10 years.
You were trying to convert me when we worked at the same job together in 2018.
Like
you'd been going for a while then.
Yeah, like it was something. Yeah, it's since easily 10 plus years. So
we're the newbies.
So the fact that
and they both read more.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't feel like a newbie.
I know, not anymore. Yeah.
I was gonna say the fact that this stuck out to you over that amount of time, it just proves that it's such a good one shot to just have to read to go back to.
I don't know when this fic well, I can look. I don't remember when it was published. It probably wasn't 10 years ago, but like this was one of the very first one shots that I had like given a chance to.
Published in 2020, July 2020.
There you go. See? So it's just been a few years, but yeah, there had never really been like I didn't search out one shots to just read. They were just kind of like, oh, I heard this is good because this much good, So nope, this one, I don't know. I think I did see this on a Germani list and I gave it a shot. So I don't remember. It's been years. I think I read this in 2020 then.
It's in a lot of collections. A lot of people have added this one. I just, what one of my kinks is? We're going to talk a lot about kinks today, okay?
This is a very explicit episode.
This,
Yeah.
I really like the height difference, like the tall
Oh,
and the
yeah.
small, and
Oh,
like
yeah.
the size difference is like a big thing.
And I like it when it's like super detailed of how tall
like
they
how
are.
much difference there is.
Yes.
It
I
was
like
just
that.
very well done in this fic. So thank you.
Yes, it was.
So yeah, let's talk about it. What, like, it's cute. I like that this one, it's not an established relationship. It shows them starting the relationship. It
And it's
shows
fast for one shot, but it's not too fast. Like
I was gonna say it's
progressed
slow
well.
for a one shot for me. That's
Yeah.
like it detailed everything and explained it without it just like going from, hey, we don't talk, to, hey, we are fucking now. Like there
Right.
was enough in
Yeah.
between to like
Yep.
show the progression.
And
It
this
was
also
beautiful.
had the wonderful tag of erotic hand holding.
Which is your freaking jam.
I love it so much.
Is it your jam though when it goes on for 3 weeks? Because that's how long it says that it went on, that they just held
Yeah.
hands.
And he would like caress her hands,
And
like with
I'm
his
It's not
going,
just holding
knuckles.
hands. This is touching. Like
I'm like, once I reached that point with someone, we were making out. No. I don't go 3 weeks caressing hand. No.
I
But that's
mean,
okay. That's okay.
like junior high, when you know you're like
No.
dating, you know what I'm talking about? Like, oh, we're together, we're boyfriend, girlfriend. You just like walk to class holding hands, and then like
And that's it.
that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Well,
You
I
don't
mean,
like talk.
yeah, there's that, but then you hang out and you make out.
Okay,
It's not
so
3 weeks of
God.
nothing. Oh my gosh. Anyway, no, it's okay. It's okay. I like that Jenny is the one that put Malfoy into her head in
Yes.
the beginning. She's the one that points out, hey, have you ever noticed how tall Malfoy is? No.
Like he's I
you have
wanna
a
say
thing
like
for tall people, right? Like, no, I don't. Like, I do. I like that.
And then she can't stop noticing him. So I love that.
But I think
Mhm.
that's so funny because it's so true. You guys ever, it's the same thing with like cars. Have you ever noticed that? Like you start to see, like you think about like you buy a car and then you start
Yeah,
noticing that type of car
that's true.
everywhere. It's
True.
like as soon as it's in your head, you
Yep.
like can't help but notice it.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
So
Let's see. I like the I don't, oh my gosh. I don't know. Never mind. Slughorn paired them together to
Yes.
brew Felix Felicis, which apparently takes 6 months. Did not know that was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But oh, and you mentioned Holly how tall he is. She goes up to his shoulders in
Okay.
her 2-inch shoes.
Uh,
I was like,
oh
oh,
my.
that 2 inches?
Wow.
Is that 2 inches?
So is
Maybe
she
a
like
little
eye
higher up.
level with his nipples?
Well, okay, nipples
Probably.
are here.
Well,
I know,
yours,
but that's the top of her head
Okay,
is
my
right
nipples
there.
are here, not it. Like,
but yeah, that's because your nipples are there. Some people's are
I know
here.
his would be here, but still, that's like a good.
Okay.
Okay, like
They're
5
close
six.
He's
enough.
not
Anyway.
licking the nipple.
Mouth difference.
I mean,
That would be nice. Anyway.
uh I like it in the beginning when she's like, okay, I think they're in the library, and she asks him if he wants to study with her, and he just, no thanks.
No, and
He
walks away. I would have never tried again.
I know that
Me
would have been the
neither.
moment. I'm like, okay, you
Mhm.
really
Never
don't like
mind.
me. My
Yep.
bad.
Yeah.
It was talked about, like Jenny did mention, like why she doesn't like hate him, because he didn't rat out the resistance when he was at Hogwarts, so that was kind of like his little redeeming in quotation
And
marks
he
quality.
encouraged Ginny and Neville and someone else to go to detention with Hagrid instead of letting
Right,
the
instead of
Carrows do whatever they wanted. So
yeah. So like he didn't go out of his way to help, but he also like if he could prevent something he would kind of thing, but
self-preservation at its finest.
that's very true. That's very true. It wouldn't be Draco Malfoy if that weren't the case though, so you know.
I just finished reading one that is not it. So.
Okay.
We won't talk about that.
Fair. He grows out of it, whatever. Anyway. Yeah.
She does something that's very me. And tries to make him she doesn't try to make him okay.
Yes, she does.
In my
And
head,
he needs a nudge.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, no, that's definitely something that
She
I would have
purposefully
done.
misconstrued what Ernie was asking her.
Yes. Yes.
He was not asking her if she was free in a romantic setting. He was asking her if she could do prefect rounds because
Uh-huh.
everybody else is busy. And she
Mhm.
just was like, maybe he needs that. Maybe Draco needs to be a little jealous.
Yes. Yep. And I liked it,
But I
and it
mean, he
worked.
did.
I know
So
it worked.
It worked, but
he
then
needed it.
he was ignoring her or glaring at her for till Valentine's Day.
That
Wasn't
was
he?
Oh yeah, it was only like a few days, I think.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't like too long, I don't
It
think.
would have felt like months for me.
That's honestly fair. Probably felt like months for her too. Um, let's see. Hang on. We kind of skipped a tiny bit because yeah,
Sorry.
he was being standoffish and um oh my goodness. Hang on. Oh, I thought it was so sad that everyone acts like he doesn't exist, even his own housemates. And I just like my heart broke. I felt so bad for him. And she does confront him about like his trial because he apologized for his actions. So she was like, "Did you mean it? Did you mean it?" And
I
what did
liked
he
his
say?
answer.
He
He
said,
said, because she goes, like, if you could change, if like I think that you were in a different like environment, I think you would make different choices. And he goes, I don't think I would. And I regret that. Like I
Mhm.
wish that I like he
Yeah.
said, like, I
Right.
wish that I could. He's like,
Mhm.
but I am sorry for the pain. And so she was like,
That's a good answer.
It's a
I like
good
that.
answer. Yep.
Because he's
Like you're
honest.
on, yeah, you're honest.
Mhm.
And so also, what does silvery green and expensive smell like?
That's what I wondered too.
I imagined Christmas pine trees.
All right, I like
Like,
that.
you know, like the really
The really
nice
expensive and
candle that's like the
Yeah.
pine that you get. That's what I imagined.
okay, okay. Look at you having an answer ready.
Thank you. I think a lot about what he might smell like.
Oh, yes. Tracy knows exactly what he smells like.
Yeah, you got a
She's
candle and
got
everything.
I
she's got him on her shelf.
do. Yes, he's over there. He's currently behind Dorian and Manon kissing. I should
Does he
bring him
smell
back
good?
out. Smells so good.
Oh, good.
I could bring him over and tell you what he smells like. I think pine is on the thing.
Because it's apples and pine. Like those are the two scents I always think of.
Apples, like green apples. Ooh, okay.
Of
Sorry.
course. Yes, the green apples.
Well, green apples are like they're like are they like a sharper scent? They're
Green
I
apples
think
are
so.
my
they're not as
favorite.
sweet. Like I don't like apple smell.
They're
Well, okay,
sour.
I do. Yes, okay. They're
Love
like a
green
sour
apples.
smell. Anyway, that we're getting off
Hmm.
topic.
I know. Sorry.
That's
Ah,
okay.
let's see.
So after he says his little apology, they start studying. That's kind
Yes.
of how that happens.
And of course, when they're studying, he's still like in his shell
Doesn't talk.
because,
Yeah.
he's Draco. And the first emotion he shows is the Ernie Macmillan thing, is the like, hey,
He's
what
angry.
are you available for Valentine's Day? That's what he said. Are you available for Valentine's Day? And or that's what Draco or
Sorry.
Hermione told Draco. Um, so anyway, and I wouldn't tell him either. If he wants to know, he should ask.
Yeah. So then they go to Hogsmeade, because she's doing
Yes.
her prefect rounds, and he's like just sulking outside a building. I'm
He's
like,
he's following her.
I know, me too.
God, he's such an idiot.
She walks up and she's like, okay, I'm done, but thanks.
I like it. I like Fics where she just speaks her mind.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She's
It's
like,
like, oh, good, let's skip this.
yeah, she's like, I'm not, and I love that she was like, I'm not gonna sit here, like, I shouldn't be somebody who's this hard to, like, it shouldn't be this hard to decide. So, like, you must not want me, and, like, I'm not gonna beg, so, like,
Yep, I'm not
thanks.
gonna beg for you to want me. I don't have any interest in being this difficult to choose, is what she said. And I went, oh, you go,
Me
girl.
too. Yeah.
You go.
And she's like, okay, well, you're not gonna say anything anyway, so bye, and turns to leave. And he's like, wait. Come back.
He
And what
panics.
he says makes me so sad. It made me feel for him so much.
What did he say?
This is, yeah, go ahead. You do it.
He's just kind of talking to her and telling her how he doesn't really know how to do this because the quote that I wrote down was, but just think how much worse it will be when that happens if there's someone that I let myself think I could have. And it's like, Oh,
Yeah.
oh, because he's like, you're gonna just be taken away from me. I think he says that he's
He's
had everything he's ever wanted in life,
he
and
thinks
this is
that
something he
he's
can't
going to
have.
mess up. He thinks that he's going to
Yes.
fail at any minute, and when he does, they're going to take him away. So then he's going to lose everything.
Mm-hmm. And she says something about how, not that she's sorry she's a muggle-born, but she says something along the lines of, well, I mean, I'm a muggle-born. And he's like, I didn't mean for you to think it was because you were muggle-born. He's like, that's not it at all.
Yeah, he goes, "You're not
And
impossible to choose. You're
that's it.
impossible not to choose."
Yes, that's cute.
He goes like, I'm not a good person. I'm not hesitating because you're hard to choose. Yeah, and then yeah, you're easy to want to choose.
Mhm.
Yes,
And then
thanks.
I think Hermione's response was great too, because then she goes, you should not assume risks for people that are not you. So like you're gonna if I want to be with you, then you're gonna let me. And just like grabbed his hand and
Mhm.
walked away. And then they started
That was
holding
that.
hands.
For weeks.
You're
Oh my
so
God.
good about it.
For weeks. It's fine.
You're telling it's
It's
little
fine.
it's like foreplay. It's like teasing. It's like this could be another spot on your body, but instead I'm just gonna touch your hand. And like he's
Yeah,
so
that's good for a
scared.
couple hours.
I swear to God, shut up.
He's so scared.
He wants to take it
Uh,
slow, Holly. Wants to take it slow.
No, thank
Uh,
you. That's fine. That's fine.
she
It's
does
still cute.
say that his I think God, it's the hand holding. Why is it so erotic? Like I don't understand. And she says his hands are expressive. And that's such an odd choice of words, and I love it.
I don't think that's odd. I've heard people say
I
like,
think
"Oh,
it's odd.
you express yourself with your hands."
I
I
guess
talk a
you
lot
like
with my hands.
right,
So
but I
like
wouldn't necessarily call it expressive. I
mm.
don't know. Maybe I'm just weird,
You
but I
might be
thought
a
it
little
was
weird.
interesting. Okay, that's fair. Because I mean, like you're expressing yourself, but I don't know. And just the way that I guess in Draco's, his melancholy self, him having expressive hands was just interesting because that's what he's showing right now. Because he has nothing on his face. He's always occluding
Yep.
constantly. And he's just so, closed off. And so, anyway.
I imagine a lot of like this is so dumb, and I'm so sorry. Again, if any of my family's listening, please stop. I imagine a lot of like like
That's what I
like middle
imagine too.
finger. Like
Like,
so you're
Yes.
imagining
Yep.
it in other parts,
Mhm. Oh
That's what
yeah.
I think of.
Yes, please.
That's what he was doing. He was just like rubbing
honestly,
it
yeah.
her arm,
Or like,
like
well, and
going in
around
between
the
the
knuckles.
finger.
Can you imagine like circling her
So
knuckles?
I just imagine that
And then
she's replicating it later by herself.
I like it. I'm not gonna say no. So Holly, she does what you would do, but she just does it much later than you would. She finally gets annoyed and is like, I think we should kiss.
Yep.
Just blurts it out
Yeah.
one day in the library. 10 out of 10. Love it.
And he's like, now or later? Now.
And he's so awkward about it. He's
Yes.
so
He gives
stiff.
her this little like, mwah. She's like, I'm not your mom.
Yeah, and he goes, I don't kiss my mom.
Uh,
It's so funny. Like, what a random little. I'm not
Yes.
your mom.
Awesome.
And then they snog pretty heavily.
He pulls her out of her chair and
She's
everything.
unbuttoning things.
She straddles him. Oh yeah. We are
And then-
mounted.
After 3 weeks of hand holding, I'd be on my knees. I don't know. I'd be much faster.
All right.
But of course, alas, Madam Pince catches them
And takes
and they spring apart. And then they stay in the library for hours studying. And I'm going,
would have left.
yeah, I would have been out of there so fast.
No, I wouldn't. I could see that. They're like they both got caught. They're both embarrassed. Like it's
That's
like
true.
it's like the walk of shame thing. Like if do you leave now or do you leave later? It's like maybe if I leave later, she'll have forgotten. Like, give him more time. But if I leave now, she's gonna know what we're gonna go do. Like,
That's a good point. Yeah. That is a good point.
Sorry.
Sorry.
But then things did end up escalating after that.
Oh, of course. Their
I don't know how
relationship.
quickly, but it's kind of
Yeah.
just
It
briefly
says
talked
that
about.
they started studying in other places
Yes.
in the castle, like
Alcoves,
And, you
secluded,
know,
empty
empty
classrooms.
classrooms. Yeah.
and studying, you know, consisted of a lot of like heavy petting and
Lots of
orgasms.
orgasms.
Yep.
So, you know, they're not getting their homework done, their studying done, you know.
She says that she does her studying after she goes to, like, they separate. She just stays up really late. And honestly,
Yeah.
I get that. It's either you stay up really late studying or you study really fast and then you stay up late snogging. And, like, I mean, makes
Yeah.
sense to me. If you're doing your homework, like, you might as well.
And then
Oh
of
my
course
God.
we get our big finale of them snogging in a classroom and Hermione making comments about this is such a sturdy desk, isn't it?
And he's,
Yeah, yeah.
She's like,
As
doesn't
like he's
creak at
taking off
all.
her clothes, you know, like she's saying this as her shirt's coming off, and he's just, mm-hmm. Yeah, God, it's so funny.
It was so good.
Yeah.
This is such a good one shot.
So yeah, they have sex on the desk. I mean, let's call it what it is. They have sex on the desk. And listen, I like it. It was good. I like the smut. I like the build up to it. I like, again, like you said, like he's taking off her clothes as they're talking about it. And he finally is like, yes. And then I loved that he is a talker during sex because he's so quiet,
Yes.
like when they're just sitting and studying. But like, it's at that moment that he's realizing he can actually like let himself
Go.
like accept
Yeah.
that this is happening, and like he starts saying sweet nothings of like, I'm never gonna let you go, and I never
I'm so
imagined, and yeah, I'm so
happy.
happy, and like
Yeah.
all that.
Yep.
And like, oh,
It's very sweet.
it was
It
just
was good smut and very, very sweet nothings, I guess. I don't know. It was so good.
yeah, for this being a one shot, it was not a porn without plot story. This definitely had plot, this had
Yep.
story, like the smut was there, but it wasn't the entire focus of the story. Like it was good. Like when you
It's just
think
the
of
end.
yeah, when you think of one shots, I think a lot of people immediately assume porn without plot because that's what a
Yep.
good majority of them are. But this is not one of them. This is one that does have a story. So if you're looking for something really short and easy and just like if you were, again, I think about somebody who's never really read a lot of like Hermione, you could give them this as a good introduction and
Yeah.
it would make complete sense. And it's not like 100,000 word fic.
Yep.
That's true because it's eighth year. It starts out the next year, and
It shows them
yeah.
building a relationship. They're not jumping
Mhm.
into it. Like you get a little bit of the angst. Like this was, I just really liked.
Well, I'd like the very, very end after they did the deed and they're, you know, basking in the afterglow, whatever. So what made you notice me, Granger? Oh,
Yeah.
nothing, nothing. No, really, what was it? Jenny mentioned how tall you were, and he just busts out laughing.
Yes.
I
You're joking. That's it.
so freaking funny. So
We're girls. That's all we
Little
need.
things, you know?
yeah, just one little thing, and they do
Uh-huh.
snowball and progress, and like that's not why I'm with you, kind of thing. But like one thing sticks out, and then we pay attention. So
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
yep, short and sweet, very like low risk. There's no angst,
I was gonna
really.
say, there's really not there's the brief moment where she's like,
Yeah,
oh, you don't want me, but he turns it
Yep.
right around within like 2 paragraphs. So like
Uh-huh.
yep, very short and sweet. Makes you feel good. So yeah, it's good. It's cute. I like that you mentioned that, Carrie Ann, with this is a good one to give people that are new into Hermione. So
yeah, because it's short enough to get them, if they're interested, it's a good way to tell of like, oh yeah, I'd be interested in reading more of this, or like, this is not really my thing, kind of thing.
We're trying to
Because
share the gospel here.
yeah, because it's not a different
sorry.
like we're gonna okay, since I'm talking about it, our next one, Holly's, is an ABO fic. So like you're not gonna throw somebody into the deep end with an ABO
Why
Hermione.
not?
Like
Because you want to be if you don't want to be friends with them anymore, give them an ABO fic.
Oh
So
yeah, unless they're into that kinky
know,
yeah,
shit,
well,
then maybe
you
not.
either
too.
lose a friend or make a
Are-
really good friend.
Exactly. Well, how were you
Uh-huh.
guys with ABO? Because I know, Holly, weren't you a little more like for the about it.
I was, because I was very ashamed of how much I liked it. That was exactly what was going on. I went,
God.
hell is
Why is
There's
this?
no
this
shame.
good?
I am
Oh
very
my
into it.
God.
Okay, I am
Oh,
very, very, very into
I've
it.
accepted. I
Yeah,
am in my
you
acceptance.
went through your stages of grief. You're good.
Uh-huh.
Ugh.
Oh my
Very much
God.
so. Very much so. And when I have to explain it to other people, I get very red in the face, but I go, I love this.
I do not explain ABO to other people.
Oh, I do. I do. I don't know. I don't think I've explained it to my mom. It'll come up though because she watches these.
Oh no.
Here, so since we're talking about it,
I'll have to explain it.
Well,
Hollies, we're
she
gonna
just has
jump
to keep
in.
listening.
Yeah, you can stop here. You can come back later. So
Yeah, Mom, maybe stop listening. Stop watching.
You'll
Anyway,
learn something you don't want.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
Holly's choice is a fic called "Come to Me." This
Oh.
is by morriganmercy. Roseheira is how I'm pronouncing
I
that.
think so.
Roseheira.
And those are
Hira?
two
Mhm.
separate
Yeah, they're two separate
people.
people, and it also has Echo audiobooks titled on
Yes.
there as well.
I did listen to this on that, and it was very weird.
So this is one
Very
chapter.
weird. Is that what you said?
Yes, because I'm sorry, Carrie Ann, I keep
Yeah,
interrupting.
can I finish, please?
I'm so sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm scolded. Go ahead.
This has 8,413 words, so it's like 300 words less than height. But this is available only on AO3, and you have to have an account. So that's what that blue little locky symbol means. You do have to have an account. And I will just preface this next section.
Trigger warning.
There are some trigger warnings for this story. Some people might find
Yes,
it a little
large ones.
uncomfortable. Okay. I'm just going to really quick kind of name a couple of them. The biggest one is that this is a non-con story. So there are elements of non-consensual sex that some people may find uncomfortable.
Man,
Some
I hope
people
my
may
mom
not.
stopped listening.
I was going to say some people may not find it uncomfortable, and we'll get into that.
Non-con. Yeah.
Somnophilia.
Yeah, somnophilia, that's the big, like, that's what the non-con is somnophilia. So please just check tags, make sure that you're comfortable with what this one is before you jump into it. And again, if you start to read it and realize it's not for you, that's totally fine. Exit out of that tab. You don't need to keep reading. You don't need to push yourself to finish if it's not for you. But this was for me. So
This was one of the very first ABO fics that I ever read.
Really?
It might have been the second because I was still confused by it, but it made a little more sense. The first ABO fic that I read, I was like, what am I reading? I don't understand. Are they animals? What is happening?
Oh
And they are. So it's just it's really good. This is probably one of my favorite ABO fics, and it's one shot. One shots are not typically my thing that I go through like a million of them. I have read quite a few, but this
She's
one,
like me, how I was back in the day.
I
about
like to have a good
Like-
story in there. I do.
But there are some good ones. There's some good
There are.
one-shots.
But then I don't want it to end because it's so short, and I'm like, I don't want this to
because
be
you're
over.
greedy.
Yeah,
greedy.
very,
you're
very.
needy and greedy. Like, careful what you're
Very.
saying. You might.
This is very true. Yep.
Do you know what I just realized about
Mhm.
ABO? You saying like your very first like ABO fan fiction or whatever, or one of your first. Kind of sat there for a second, just wondering what was my first ABO? What fandom was it? It was My Hero Academia.
Oh
It
my
was
gosh.
My Hero fic. It was a Kachako fic. And I am dead. That's it. I just needed everyone to know.
Nice.
I do like Kachako. If you got any recommendations, please send them my way. I've read a few good ones, but anyway, that's it. Thanks for
good.
listening. Thanks for that
Good.
brief interlude.
Yeah. So
I'm trying to get them to watch it, okay? That's why.
Anyway, I don't remember if I read Designations first or if I read this one. Designations is a longer ABO fic.
You've talked about that one more than this one, at least to me.
Yeah,
that one's
probably.
like
I've read it twice.
what?
Designations.
Yeah, that one's good. You made me read that. You didn't make
Mhm.
me. I chose to read it. Let's be
I
honest.
know. I told you about it, and you were like,
didn't
"I'm
make
reading
me.
that." Yes. And so I don't know. And then I had read another ABO one shot too that was just sex, and I was like, I'm confused, but I'm getting it. I'm understanding it a little bit better. Anyway, I don't really feel like we need to go in and explain ABO. If you want to learn about what that is, go read this fic, or go read
There are lots of things
designations.
out
Just
There
there.
are
Google
so
it.
Yeah,
many
Google.
fics.
There are so many things to tell you what ABO
Oh
is,
my
and
God.
if you
Honestly, if you're in fan fiction, I'm sure you know
you
what
should
ABO
know.
You've come
Yeah.
across it. You've
Like-
come across it. All right. So getting started with this fic, my first note that I wrote down was Potter Omega. Did you guys catch that? Harry Potter is an Omega.
It makes such sense to me.
That made me
I do
laugh.
not imagine him as a top. I am telling
Honestly,
you right now.
same.
I don't
He has
really
always
either.
been a
Yeah.
bottom.
Yep. And then Ron Weasley is the beta. Yep.
I was
Absolutely.
like, Ron is a beta? How basic.
Yes.
I thought that
That's
was very
exactly who he
funny
is.
because yeah, he's always looking for like attention, and I thought it was kind of funny that even in he's a beta.
Yes.
You're not an
Yep,
alpha. You're not even an
absolutely.
omega.
I know, but it made me go, I want to know more about Harry Potter's life now. About being an Omega. Can you tell us
I
more?
know, like,
It'd be
who's his
fun.
alpha? You
Yes.
know? The-
I would read a
Anyway.
one shot of that. I would Morrigan
Oh,
Mercy write it. I
absolutely.
would read it.
I'm sure,
Yep.
guys, there's a lot of Draco and Harry
Nope, I don't want that.
ABO
No,
ones.
no.
I'm sure there's a lot of Theo
No.
Harry ones too, though. So
See? Okay.
Yes.
I'm all for that. Anyways.
Anyway, yeah.
It's because we love our Draco Malfoy and we love our Hermione Granger. It's just
Neville's an
it's-
alpha.
I love that.
I'm sorry, Holly.
No, it's okay. He's an alpha in All You Want by Senlinyu. That's
Uh-huh.
another really good one to read. Another really good one.
Oh, and I don't think I finished that one just yet. It's still open.
You have it?
It's
So
still
good.
open. I
It's
think I
so
only have a
good.
few chapters
I love
left.
that one.
Anyway.
Loved it.
Fantastic. Okay, this one. Okay, I listened to this first. Like I listened to it, Holly, because I was too busy playing with Stardew Valley. So I was like, I'm just gonna
The
play and
best
listen.
time. Yeah.
And I did not realize how, I don't want to say dark, because this is not a dark fic, but Draco creeped me out.
Oh, absolutely.
One of the tags.
He is Stalker Draco.
Yeah,
This
one
is
of the there's two different
Yes.
tags that I laugh at. It's pushing the Draco Malfoy is a gigantic creep agenda and creepy behavior treated as sexy. So it's
There we go.
Yes.
That explains.
Yep.
I mean, I still loved this. It was great, but I
good.
was like, what is happening? 'Cause I
Absolutely.
I don't read the tags. So I
Yep.
went into this blind. There was the disclaimer that ETL Echo said, like, hey, this has non-con, and
Yes.
we know that this is bad, and if you
Yep.
don't like it, then go away, kind of thing.
Yep.
And I was like, cool, somnophilia, I know what it is. It's fine. And then it just kind of started, and I went,
Whoa.
okay.
So it starts. So Draco breaks into her wards because I think she's head girl. It's 8th year Hogwarts. He breaks down her wards, goes into her room at night while she is asleep to scent mark her. Okay, because he's an alpha, she's an omega. He wants her. He wants to get her before somebody like Neville Longbottom, who's also an alpha, gets there first. And he thinks that he would get there first because, well, they're friends. So he thinks that this is the best route to take. He goes in there and he is just enamored because she's an omega. And that's kind of the dynamic that alphas have with omegas. They just want them, okay? And I thought it was funny to note that he picked her when she was being tortured on his drawing room floor. He realized that she was an omega and he went, oh.
Oh my god.
Oh, hey.
It does say that something in him recognized that she
Yes.
would be his. So it's not just like, oh, out
That
of all
was
these
it,
omegas,
yes.
I think you're cool. It was like there
that
was
she would be
something
his
in,
mate
yeah,
or
his
something like
alpha
that.
was telling him that's his omega, not just like Draco, like, oh, eeny, meeny, miny, mo kind of thing. I think that's
Mhm.
important to note because
Yes.
that's like a big part of like the alpha, beta, omega vibes.
Yep.
True.
Yeah. So he goes in that first night, and I think the first night, I don't think he does
The first night
anything.
he's scared. He's like, I've spent a lot of time coming to this moment. Like, what am I gonna do? And so all he does is rub his own glands.
That's it.
And then he leaves, and it's the next night that he touches her with his glands. And that sounds like a very dirty sentence. It's not actually.
And that's where I always was like, are they animals? What is happening? What are they doing? They've got scent glands on them and they rub them together on each other and it
Technically,
scent marks them.
don't humans too? Technically,
Humans have what?
glands, like
I mean,
glands.
we have glands, but we don't
But it's not the
smell
same,
each other.
obviously.
We
Yeah.
don't,
But like,
we
there's like
don't, yeah.
pheromones and shit. I
Yeah.
don't know how it
Yes,
works.
that's
Science
true.
is
No, yeah,
anyway.
science is
It's not
over
the
there.
same. It's not the, especially with ABO. Okay, never mind.
Uh, anyway, so he keeps going back into her room. And I wrote down that this is like one of the only fics that I don't mind Draco Malfoy being kind of uneducated in the sex department. Usually I'm like, no, I want him to be very,
Want him to be good at sex.
experienced. Yeah, And you come to find out because he's talking to
virgin.
himself, or he's talking to himself in his head, and he's like, yeah, I've only ever kissed a girl. That's it. And he oh man, Mom, stop watching. Anyway, like so every night he kind of progresses further. She never wakes up because she
Yeah.
is
This is important.
This
It's
is
supposed to
important.
be that because she's getting close to her heat and she's getting close to her designation fully coming out, the hormones are making it so she's sleeping more, so she could be ready
Yep.
for it. It says that in like one of the first chapters, like that.
And so she is like
Or
out
paragraphs.
cold. Not completely cold, because I mean her body is very responsive to the things that he ends up
You're
doing to her.
missing. You're jumping. It's
I don't
funny.
care.
It's so funny.
So go
'cause
ahead. Cut
I
in.
just laugh because this fic was very good at this. It would be a couple sentences and he would say like he's not gonna touch her, no matter how good or
Oh my
like
gosh,
how
it's
much
so
how
funny.
soft. And then the next
So
sentence,
funny.
somehow her skin was even softer than it looked. Like it's just like I am not gonna
And
touch her.
that happens throughout this fic
So
where
dumb.
it's like,
Like,
oh
oh,
man. Oh,
he's
it's
not gonna
so
lick her.
funny.
Like I'm not gonna put my mouth on her. Oh, her skin is so soft. It's so good.
Yes.
She tastes so good.
And
Yeah.
it's just like, oh.
Oh my goodness. Yes. And so we slowly progress every single night into him touching her more. Then there's the time that he takes her top off. He's like, oh yes, he's very much so enjoying himself, and I'm enjoying myself. You're
Wow.
welcome.
Yeah,
Tracy, I'm just making you blush tonight, huh?
I think this part, you know what part I loved? He is in her room. He's so far with like licking and touching with like his mouth. He's only touching like her hands and her wrist because that's where her scent gland is. And it says he's sucking on her thumb, which is kind of funny to me, but besides the point, that he notices that she makes a little sound, like her body makes like a little, like a natural, just like it's probably like a loud exhale kind of thing, just like a, and he's like, oh, you like that? And then she like makes more noise. He's like, you like my voice?
Yes. He's talking to her very, very
dirty,
protectively. Very protectively.
Wait,
very
do you guys on here the dirty talk in
Mhm.
this
was
one?
so good.
Mhm.
Oh,
And
great.
he's talking to her the whole time, but she doesn't know it. He's not talking to anybody. It's just him. Mhm. Anyway, so things continue to progress as
because he's like,
nights
he's not gonna
continue.
come back. He's not gonna come back.
Yeah.
He won't come back. Her
He
right
was there the
nipple
next
was more
night.
sensitive than the left. Like,
That's
Yes.
it. That's it. Yes. Oh my goodness. And then when he decides to part her legs,
Don't make these nice.
this one was just so good.
This is
It was just funny because
yes.
we don't
ready for
condone
me.
this.
Ready for him. To
No,
do
yeah,
what,
no.
though?
This in real life should never
is-
happen.
Please know that,
Never.
Okay.
listeners.
No.
Okay, now we can continue.
I just dream about
in
it.
real
happening.
life, this can happen if you are doing it with a partner and it has been discussed and limits have been set and things like that. Like this can, like, don't ever think that you can't do anything you don't want to do.
Oh yeah.
You just have to do it with express consent. So just make
Yes.
sure we're saying
Consent
have
is
consent before
sexy.
you do it. But like, if you want to do it, talk to your partner. I say do it. It's some of the best sex I've had. Like, okay,
I love getting
do it.
woken up in the middle of the night. Yes. Mm. Yep.
anyways.
Bryce is very good at that. You're welcome, honey. I don't know where he's at right now.
He'll never listen to this. That's fine.
He won't. He won't. And I'm happy that he doesn't. It's fine.
Anyway,
Anyway,
he
so
spreads her legs.
Yeah, it was
oh
funny because
yes,
the
he does.
sentence was he realizes that she's getting wet and he goes, "Oh, she's ready
He
for
can
him." And then he goes,
smell her.
"Ready for him to do what?" He's not entirely sure.
So he decides to go and investigate because he's like, I know that there's supposed to be a hole down here. So he's looking at her and he can't find the
I
hole
was
and he's going,
laughing.
what?
to cover her
So
whole
hard.
vagina with his mouth and just like get as much in as he can. To, like, fine.
I was laughing so hard. I'm so sorry.
So he does, he
Oh my God.
investigates a little bit. He's touching her.
He
You know,
finds it.
he finds it with his finger because he goes, oh, it just kind of sunk in there. Oh, I found it. And he's like, this is really tight. This is, I'm
This isn't
never
gonna
gonna
work.
fit. And when he says that, Hermione does this little gasp, like a sad,
He
sad sound.
sensed rather than smelt a ripple of distress. And so he's like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. We'll make it."
God.
So funny. So funny. It's funny because it's like, I don't know. It's just so,
It's so good. That's
it
the
is.
thing.
It
It's
is.
good.
We're
It's so-
laughing and not in like a mean way. It's because, oh my God, it's just, I don't know. It's great. This was fun. This was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This
Yes.
is a very good ABA
So
one shot.
anyway, this is one of those times that he says that he's like, I am never coming back, or he gives her an orgasm and then is like, well, I'm not doing that again. He doesn't mean to, and then he gives her 3 more orgasms the next night or something like that.
No, that's
No,
it's a
he
little later.
rewards
Different.
her.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No. So
I'm
listen,
sorry.
Fix this.
listen. The first time after he says like, "Oh, it'll never fit," after he puts his finger in her, it ends and it goes to the next day that they're in class and she's cold. So
Oh,
he gives
yes.
her
Yes.
his cloak. And this is important, okay? He gives her his
Yep.
cloak just during class because she's cold, and he just said like, "I hope you get everything you want," and then he goes to her room later that night, and she was asleep, naked under his cloak, and was touching
Yep.
herself before she went to bed. He's like, "Oh," that's like how I imagine. He's like,
he's seeing his success. That's what's happening.
yeah, and he's
God.
like, "You could have come to me. Like, I would have taken care of you. You didn't need to do it yourself."
Yep.
God.
Yep.
And it's funny because he's again dirty talking to her, but not realizing that he's like really dirty talking because he's inexperienced. And I laughed so hard at this moment. He's telling her like, "You could have come to me and I would have helped you." And so he keeps saying, "Just come to me. Just come." And she comes because she thinks it's like,
Yes.
what a command.
Yep.
I giggled very hard at that point because he all of a sudden freaks out and is like, "Oh, she's having some kind of spasm," and he has no idea what she's doing.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
he's like,
And then he realizes.
yeah, that's where he's like, "I've crossed
That's
the
right.
line. Something's happened. I shouldn't have done that." And that's where he's like, "I'm definitely not
coming
coming
back.
And then he carefully closed. Well, yeah, he brought her to orgasm later that night.
Yep. And then
Ginny
the
was
next
like, "You look
day
so
it talks
good."
about Hermione at breakfast and Ginny's like, you're just radiant
Just
today.
glowing.
And I'm like, hey, yeah, me too after 3 orgasms in one night. Are you kidding? Feel so
You
much
don't have to
better
do
after
any
that.
work. You don't have to do any work for it. Do you know
That's
how
right.
that's
That's
so
why I like this so
appealing?
much. And then is that the next, so then that night she goes to bed and then she wakes up in her heat. And
Sure.
this happens on her birthday.
She goes around kind of like something's wrong, something's wrong.
Yeah,
Because
the night
she gets up.
before, I don't know if this is important. The night before her heat starts, Draco went into her room and noticed that he had left a hickey on her neck.
Oh, yes.
And
She
that
had
was
a
where he
hickey.
was like,
Yeah.
"I'm not coming back." And he didn't touch her that night either. He just was like, "I'm so
That's
sorry," and
right.
just like left. I don't know if that was
Mhm.
important, but I thought it was. And then yeah, she wakes up the next night in her heat. And it's like she doesn't know what's happening.
Yep.
She's
She's
realizing
freaking
that she's
out.
horny. She's Like, I'm
She
sick.
leaves her room and is wandering the Hogwarts castle
She's
early in the morning.
touching herself
Yeah.
Yep.
In the hallways.
in the
And
hallways.
she doesn't even know where she's at. She ends up coming to the room of requirement. A door appears for her. She walks in, and there's Draco, as if the castle just plucked him from wherever he was because he's standing with a toothbrush.
She says his name. She's like, she just needs to find. So she goes, Draco.
Yep.
And the room
Ugh.
delivered.
You know what? Me too. I wish that I had that kind of power. Just to like say and it would show up.
No kidding.
Ugh.
Man, this
Yeah.
room of requirement just loves these people going in there and having a good time.
I bet that's really all the room is made for, honestly, or used for the people who
Yes.
know about it.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Anyway, so she goes into this room and there's Draco holding a toothbrush, looking confused. And I think he says her first name here. Because I think she says Draco and he says Hermione.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I don't know what's going
Like,
on. I need help.
I'm sick.
I think I'm really sick. And he's like, kind of freaking out and gets closer and then realizes, you're in your heat and you came to me.
Yeah, it's okay. Hermione, you're going into heat and you came to me. I'm so proud of you.
Yes, the
Oh my
praise.
God.
Let's introduce the praise here.
But
Woo.
one, and then she didn't know she was an Omega. She didn't know.
Nope, she didn't know.
And I was like, how? But okay. So anyway.
Yep. And so the room produced a bed for them. So she goes and she lays on the bed and he starts stripping. He takes off his shirt and he hands it to her. This is kind of a big thing for Omegas. They like to nest
Yeah.
before they have lots of sex.
They make a nest.
Yes, they make a nest. And so she takes the shirt from him and kind of she smells it. She puts it down kind of around her and then he takes off his pants next. She says she's talking to herself now in her head and she's like, I'm not going to ask for she wasn't going to ask for his pants. She snatched them from his hands. He hands them to her and she smells them and puts them around her and that she was not going to smell his boxers, which she didn't, but she did place them next to her head.
Next to her head. She sniffed them a little.
Oh my God.
So he's just stripping down for her. And then we proceed to have
They have, and she's like
delicious
upset, she's like,
lovemaking.
I'm sorry, the nest isn't good. And he's like, this nest
perfect.
has what no other nest does. It's got you in it. It's perfect. Like, oh my God, don't you just want to melt and be like, okay.
And that's the thing. It's like Alpha takes care of everything.
Oh my God. I eat these up, but I'm like
I
so
do too.
embarrassed to talk about it. Why? Because
I know. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that I've held it together more than you have.
Because I've read so many ABOs.
I love ABO.
Oh my God.
We haven't even started talking about nodding yet.
I know. Okay. So they start having sex, right? He fits because, that's just a thing that happens.
Omegas are made to fit around,
That's right.
Mhm.
And when he starts getting close to orgasming, his penis swells up.
Oh my God. The base.
The base of the penis swells up in what they call a knot.
Oh my God.
And he knots inside of her after he orgasms. That way they stay locked together for cuddle time, right?
I mean, that's not
kinda
why
what
they
I
stay
think.
locked together, but
It's
so
so
that's
that
what you
way it's
wanna
giving
say.
it time. It's giving it time so that he can put his children inside of her.
Or say it's
'Cause
giving
then
it time for that egg to be fertilized, baby. It's
That's
that breathing.
right. We introduce a lot of kinks with ABO. There's a lot
my
here.
God.
A
That's
lot here.
ABO is just
And
my
this fic
freaking
just hit on
jam.
everything. Ooh, it really did. It really did. Anyway, and so yeah. He knots inside of her. He stays inside of her. They snuggle. That's the best part though. You get to snuggle. It's not a ooh, let me get up and go shower.
You know what I found really funny in this fic? So
What?
the whole fic, Draco's been kind of a creep. That's like the whole underlying theme of
Mhm.
like he's not consent's not being taken into consideration. She asks him to bite her
Yes.
And he doesn't.
Yeah.
He bites her on the wrist.
Yep.
I'm like, out of all the things that you've done, why don't you
Yep.
just do it?
I'm surprised. Yeah. But he had, I thought it was sweet that he did have
know.
a little bit of, I'm going to give you this choice.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Ask me when you're really awake. There's time. Like,
Yep. And I'm waiting for her heat to wear off and her to go, you did what to me in my room?
well, she thinks that
yeah,
she was dreaming.
Yes.
It
'Cause
ended with him not telling her.
Yep,
I wouldn't
she
say
dreamt
anything.
of Draco, and that's why she wanted Draco, she thought. But no, it's because Draco's been scent marking you and touching you for weeks. She's gonna realize that and go, what?
She's gonna go, why am I turned on by that thought? You know, that's what's gonna
Yes.
happen.
Yep. Yeah, probably.
Anyways.
Probably. This fic was awesome. I love this fic. Ooh, so good. So good.
I do really like this one. I like ABO. I like that this is a short, again, still, I wouldn't say this has as much story as
No.
Height did. This was definitely more focused on the porn than the plot. But this still is like when you think of, sometimes I read a lot of one shots that are like 2,000 words. So for this being 8,000 words, it's a
Like, it
long
still
enough
have-
story that you do feel like you get something more than just like one sex scene, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I do
And
like
this is one of those one shots that I'm like, I wish I could have more. This is where I am greedy. And I'm like, do you want to just, take time out of your personal life and maybe quit your job and come back and write me a 200,000 word based on this fic? I want you to because I'm greedy. And that's what I want. But no, it's fine. It is great as it is on its own. It was fantastic. I love this fic. I'm glad I chose it. Glad I chose it and told the internet what my biggest kinks are. Sometimes I wish
Yeah, digital
alphas
footprint.
were real.
Oh
I'll
my
start,
god.
I'll start taking them off my fingers right here, right now. Okay, well then let's jump into mine. So I chose, mine is actually going to be the longest. Funny enough, I didn't realize
this
this.
one's making me giddy.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I chose the fic titled Hey Princess by Madzola. This is 4 chapters. So this is one of those, I call it a 4-shot. It is 20,642 words. This is only on AO3, but you don't need an account for this one. It's not locked, so you can read it anytime. If you've kind of noticed, we all picked different ones. You know, Holly's was an ABO, Tracy's was an 8th year. Mine is a Muggle AU. So there's no magic in this one. So it's kind of it's the first time we've done a Muggle AU on the podcast, which is kind of cool. I have read this one innumerable times. I tried to count the other day. I don't even know. I love this story so much. This is one of those that I will recommend to people, but I only recommend it if they have read Hermione, because the fact it's a Muggle AU, I want them to there are some jokes in this and some things that are said that like you won't get if you don't know like the stories and stuff like that. So I only recommend this to people who are somewhat in the fandom. Like this is not one that I would give to somebody that was like their first fanfic to ever read. But it is one I give pretty early on if they show interest. So like, it's really good. So,
why did you choose this one?
oh my God, why didn't I? Let's go
I'm
through.
like, it's a big deal for Carrie Ann to reread anything.
Oh my,
That's
yeah.
true.
But, okay, but one shots are a little different. I feel like I do reread one shots more often just because they are shorter.
They're faster, yeah.
Yeah. Because if I finish a fic, like a pretty long one, and it's like 11:30, I'm not going to want to start another long one because then I'm just going to sit up and read all night. So I'll just like read something pretty short. And my filters on AO3 are 20,000, like 25,000 words or less for like that mood. I have a tab that I just keep open.
Love that.
Got my like searches
Love
that I
it.
just like. Anyways, so I will reread these. And anytime I recommend this one to somebody, I'm like, okay, I'll reread it. Like it's such a good, happy, it just makes you feel so sweet and like it's good. It's good. So you probably have seen it if you're on TikTok. It's gotten pretty popular because this one has a biker Draco and just the whole personality of him is just good. It's got dom and sub undertones, which I think is a big part of like why I enjoy this. It's got tattoos, motorcycles,
Motorcycles.
it's just fluff and smut. There's really no angst in this one. Like
This one makes you feel
yeah.
so good. I loved this fic.
It's so good.
Let's see. Meet cute is one of
Yeah.
the
Like tags. Like it's
Thank you.
It's just so cute. So anyway, so we'll start because like I said, this one's the longest one. So the first chapter, you find out that Harry and Ginny are together in this, Muggle AU. They are together. They've got kids. Hermione is over there for a birthday party, but it's a princess birthday party. So her being the dutiful Aunt Hermione, she dressed up as a princess to celebrate the birthday. And all of a sudden, Harry realizes that he forgot the cake. And Hermione's like, well, she's going to kill you. Like, how could you forget the cake for your daughter's birthday? And he's like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, I'll go get it. I'll go get it. Like, I've had those moments where you're like, crap, I'll just like run out. And you just like forget what you're doing and what you're wearing. And like, it's kind of funny. Sometimes you're wearing things you probably wouldn't wear out in public, but you're like, I'm just going to go fast. So she leaves, goes to the bakery. She walks because it's right around the corner. As she's walking, she stumbles upon 4 men that are standing next to their bicycles. Okay. And I think it's really important the different ways that she, describes them because they are so, they're so good. So she's got, she assumes that they're all men, judging by how tall they are. And there's no hair, like no ponytails sticking out of the back of the helmets. They're all still wearing their helmets, even though they're not riding the bikes. They're parked and just like standing next to them. So anyways, she all of a sudden realizes that she is still wearing a princess outfit. She's like, crap. Why? She's like, you know what? I got to get the cake. Like, I'm just going to go past him. So the one in all black caught her eyes first. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
Because of course.
Yes, of course. Yep.
That's
Oh,
besides
yes.
the point. He's in all black. It's a matte black bike. All black gear. He's shiny. He's sitting.
The way he's sitting, where
he
he's
sat
like
back on his bike, leaning forward with his elbows resting on the fuel tank. So I imagine like a this or like a,
it's when I see guys do that on their bikes, they're kind of just like just
leaning forward.
Oh, it's so hot.
Why is it so hot to us? Because it is.
No,
it is. I can't dissect it. It's too much.
She's like, there's something about him that's just like intense, and she likes that. He just looks at her. He just watches her. He doesn't move.
And their visors are down, right? So she can't see any part of their faces.
Everything's covered. She has no idea who anybody is. So then there's a black and blue bike. He does this huge show of getting off really fast and doing a bow. And he's bending really low at the waist. This one has an owl on his. So you find out later that's Theo.
Is that?
That's Theo.
What does an owl have to do with? But what does an owl have to do with anything?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but
you made it sound. Okay.
Theo has the owl one. That's important. So then there's the matte gray helmet and matte gray bike. He drops to his knees and blows kisses at her. And then there's a black and gold helmet with a green bike who gives her a little flirty wave. And so she like gives them the princess wave. And I think it's so funny. It's the one where all your fingers are together. And
Me too. I would have done the exact same thing.
Oh, yeah. Because like if they're not, and they weren't doing it like maliciously, like sometimes people would do that to make fun of you.
Cat calling, all of that. Yeah.
They were doing it to be cheeky, so I would also do the same thing.
And Theo, and I'm pretty sure the gray helmet is Blaze. They clap and they pump their fist up in the air. You find out the Dracos just kind of laugh. He doesn't really do anything. The other black and gold helmet, he does like a little heart thing. And so she's like, oh, that could have been like so much worse. So she goes, she grabs the cake. She laughs with the little attendants, like, yeah, I'm wearing a princess outfit. Funny. Goes back outside. They're still there. And so she's being more careful instead of running by them as fast as she can because she's got the cake. And Theo runs over and takes off his jacket and lays it at her feet, on the sidewalk. And he says, "Milady." She's like, oh my goodness, you guys are trouble. Like, I'm pretty sure it's Theo and Blaze are like helping her across, like holding her elbow or
Yeah,
whatever.
offer their arms.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she's like toe to toe with Draco. He's not on his bike. He's standing right in front of her. And
He's so tall.
yeah, he's tall. That's because it says that he's got to look up. He was so tall and he was right in front of her, nice shoulders and all that stuff. And he had to tip his head down to look at her. She had to tilt her chin up. And they just stood there. They didn't say anything. They just stood there. And he flips up his little visor and sees that he's got stunning silver eyes. Finds out he's a blonde. And he says, "Hey, princess." Like, don't you just melt? Like, oh my God. If some guy on a motorcycle
Yes.
looked at me and was like, "Hey, princess," I'd be a puddle.
My husband might go kick him in the nuts, but
I'd be a puddle. And it's
Oh my
funny
God.
because she's like, if she were a cartoon, she'd be twirling one of her curls around her fingers.
They're so cute.
She's like, "Hi." And so they all, like, he puts a flower behind her ear and then leaves. And she, like, kind of like laughs and walks off. And everybody's like, the friends are like, "Let's go. Haha, funny." And like, that's it. And then it goes to, let's see, Sunday, 2 days later. So that was Friday and then Sunday. And she's like, did she go back to the bakery? Probably. Would she ever admit to it? No. So she's going specifically to see if he would show back up. She's like, I've come here before. It's not odd for me to sit here and read a book, but she's hoping that he will show up. And I think she's there for like 2 hours. I think is what it
Yes.
says.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's there for 2 hours and she's finally getting to the point of like, okay, this is crazy. Like, it's not going to happen. So she's like, I'm just going to get up. I'm going to go. So she's getting ready. She grabs her phone and all of a sudden she hears, "Hey, princess." And I'm telling you, I would just, I would melt. And she's, jumping because she's, holy shit. It's Draco and Theo, the one with the owl helmet, they're standing next to her, table. And she's like, holy shit, it worked. They're here. And so she's like, "Whoo, whoo." So she's just kind of like, I can imagine, like, you're like so nervous and like, it just worked. Like, what do you do? So Theo leaves and goes towards the front, and Draco crouches down and flips up his visor again so he can see her with her, like, they can see eyes. And he's like, "What are you reading, princess?" And
Our
she
cute
shows,
flirt.
yeah, she shows him the book that she's reading, which is The Great Gatsby. And he goes, "I thought you'd be more into nonfiction." And she's like, "Wait a minute. You don't even know my name. How could you guess I'd be more into nonfiction?" And he's like, "Well, am I right?" She's like, "That's not the point." So they're kind of flirting. And he goes, "I see you're in peasant clothes today. Where's your pretty little crown?" She's like, "Oh man." Like the blushing that would happen as you're like sitting there flirting with this guy, I would combust.
Yep.
I was blushing so hard just reading
Oh,
this.
I know.
know. Like,
Oh
you
my
just like,
God.
ooh. Like,
It's so good.
so he asks what her name is, and she tells him, and he repeats her name, and then was like, "Oh, do you drink anything else?" And he's like, she's like, sometimes. And um sorry, I just totally lost my train of thought. My brain shut right off. Um he gives her, he's like talking about like drinks, and so he goes, "Too bad, she's gonna meet me for a drink on Thursday."
Yeah, so because that's when Theo comes out.
Yeah,
And
Theo's like,
he's
"Oh, I
like,
like her."
"Mm,
And
Mhm.
yeah."
Draco's like, "Too bad she's coming with me." And she's like, "Am I?" And he's like, "Give me your phone." I would have take it.
Thrown it at him. And so yeah, he puts his number in her phone and I'll text you. I'll text you. And just leaves. He leaves with Theo.
So then it jumps forward to a couple more days, and she's working. She works at a bookshop. Um, I thought that was cute.
Of course,
And
very Hermione.
yeah.
Yep.
she looks at her phone, not immediately recognize the name until she finds out that Draco texted her. And you find out Draco put his number in her phone and like put his name. So if you look, it's got the little motorcycle emoji
Yes.
next to his
Yes.
name.
Yep.
It's like
I
perfect.
love it.
And so it's cute. He does not text her like, hey, how's it going? He starts with, you've read Into the Wild, right? Like, what a
Yeah.
better, how cute. Like, you
The
just,
way to her heart.
yeah, know your
Mhm.
audience. And like, he knew his audience.
Yep.
And so they start talking about the book, and it's kind of cute because they're talking about, she's like talking about bikes, and he goes, I'd keep you safe though.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's nervous about bikes.
Yeah. They talk about what being a backpack means, which it is a term. It means a passenger on the back of a bike. So they talk about that for a second.
They're
And
flirting up a storm, by the
yeah.
way.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
holy shit.
And so they talk about how they're gonna meet and they're gonna have a drink. And he says, use your words, princess. Even if it's just over a text, like so they agree. And then the next day, so they're meeting in 2 days, because then the next day she goes over and she's talking to Ginny, and she's talking about how she's gonna go out with him. And Ginny's like, you don't even know him. And she's like, I'm gonna do it anyways. And he's texting her, and she's like, oh, Ginny says hi. And they're still flirting. You know how I like it when you use your words. I love that. I don't know what it is about that, but I love that. And so she's even just like, she's admitting in this little section, like, yeah, she doesn't really know him. They just barely met, but she can feel some kind of like connection with him, which is cute. She's just like, yeah. And so she like she admits that she likes when he calls her princess. And she's like, I'm flustered. And he's like, I can work with that. And that's the first chapter. Like them just just flirting and cute and like, ooh, anticipation. Like they're gonna go on a date. Chapter 2.
And so he does. He asks her on a date.
So you did agree to go with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they agree. They're going on a date. Chapter 2. The day of the date. She's a mess. She can't decide what she wants to wear.
Yep.
She's,
Mood.
because she just wants to be cute and just like,
Yep.
you want to dress up, and she can't decide. And she's like, I don't even know what he looks like. And she,
yeah.
funny enough, chooses a black brawn panty set. She's like, for obvious reasons.
I was gonna say
Wears all
purposely.
black. So she chooses that. And she's like trying to figure out what to wear. So she finally figures it out or whatever. And she's like, okay, this is it. Like, it's fine. It is what it is. You know how you get to that point, you're like, whatever, just I'm gonna put it on. I think I look cute. It's good enough. So she goes, and he asks, what's your favorite color? And she tells him, like, I'm partial to blue or green. And he goes, great. I'll see you soon.
Well, he calls her a brat before that.
Well, yeah, because she goes neon orange. He goes, brat, what's for real? She goes, fine. I like blue or green. He's like, great, I'll see you soon. So she drives, and she sees that he was there and was still backing his bike in. So his long legs have no trouble reaching down. Like, he's so tall. He's got long legs.
Oh my god.
So she goes over to him and watches him. He doesn't know she's there. And he's, just taking off his gloves. He still has the helmet on. He's starting to like take it off, and she goes, hey. And he freezes. And like, I can imagine, like, because he's still probably like touching it, so he just like freezes and turns.
Yes.
Like, still has his hands.
It's so sexy. This fic is just sexy.
Yeah. She's even like, oh my god, it's like edging. Like, the helmet comes off, and he immediately, is pushing his hair out of his face, so his hand is like in his face. And she goes, he's stunning. He's beautiful. And he goes, hey, princess. It sounded even better without the helmet. And she just, I laughed. She goes, oh, you bastard.
Yes.
He laughs. And he goes, what? And she goes up to him and hits him and is like, I said you bastard. He's like, why am I the bastard? It's like, You're like untouchably hot. Oh, so then
I like it when they can be that forward.
oh, I love
Good.
this. He sat his
Mhm.
helmet down on the bike and then sat sideways on the seat,
Yeah.
so they were
Mhm.
closer to
More,
height.
yeah.
Yum.
Now, the only thing that would make that better is if, like, he had his legs slightly spread and she was standing really close right between his open legs. Anyway, that's just a little
It might be
scene
too
fantasy of
soon.
mine. Yeah, that's just what I like. Keep going.
Look at me talking about that being too soon.
I know, after your 3 weeks of hand holding is not enough.
It's not. Anyway.
And so they kind of flirt for a second, and so he says, like, I wouldn't call you untouchable, though. I intend to show you how touchable I think you are. She's like, oh my God, he just says things. Like, and then he
So
says the
good.
famous line of, when you know, you know.
My heart did a little flip
And-
at that. I was like, oh,
So then they go inside, and
to a
it's
bar.
just, yeah, it's like normal talk of like, oh, have you been here? Oh, I've never heard this. He wears a dark green shirt because she said she was partial to blue or green,
Mm-hmm.
and then pushes the sleeves up so that way she can see his tattoos. It's cute. He's got a dragon on one arm.
Mhm.
The other one was blacked out, leading to the rolled up sleeve. I thought that was interesting because, again, I've read this quite a few times. It is blacked out on his, does it say which arm?
I didn't notice.
I don't think it says. I thought it was kind of funny because you could almost infer, like, oh, it's almost like he's covering like the dark mark. It's
Yep.
like all
Yeah.
blacked out. Like, that was kind of cute that was like slid in there. And, you know, they hold hands. It felt good. It felt right. They walk into the bar, they get some drinks, but neither of them didn't get anything like, shots of tequila or anything. He got a beer and she got a cider, just like mellow out. They talk about what they do. It's just like first date stuff.
Mhm.
And then it's funny because she's like, oh, it's at least a third date story. And he's like, I can wait.
Yep.
So they start talking about like what he does. You find out Draco's in the family business, financial planning.
But he hates it.
But
He wants
yeah.
to do something else.
And then she's imagining him in a suit. And he's like, do you like a man in a suit, princess? She's like, they talk about art. They talk about movies. They're just everything. They stay pretty respectful. I think that was important to note.
Yep.
Like on the date, they didn't like
Mhm.
they weren't like touching overtly. It was just like the little like the flirty touches of like you brush your hand against like the shoulder or like your knees might touch every once in a while or like, just like something little. They talk about bikes, which I don't know anything about motorcycles.
Me neither.
So it's a Ducati, and I know that that's a big brand. It's expensive. But,
Like her, that's all I know about it
yeah,
too. So
Draco comes for money, so like, no shit, it's expensive. And she becomes like, she's like, please tell me you're being careful. And they just like flirt, She was just talking, and I thought this was important because she goes, honestly, it's early, like we're not dating, but if we were, I know that I would be nervous with him like out all night and I'd be waiting and like waiting for the text to say like he was safe. I'm like, I'm that same way. Motorcycles freak me out. And it's not that I
Me
don't
too.
trust the driver of the motorcycle.
Yep.
I don't trust the drivers on the road around them.
Yep.
And so it's like that's just so stressful to me. And so they like talk about just more stuff. And all of a sudden she goes, oh, we don't even know each other's last name. And so he tells her that his last name is Malfoy. And then she's like, oh, my last name is Granger. And he goes, Granger, for now.
he's got some good riz.
Yeah,
He's
so
got the
then
riz.
they walk out to her car. She leans against the side of her car and looks up at him. He's really close. He grabs the back of her neck and uses it to tilt her head up. Ooh. And, they kiss. Yummy, yummy. It's delicious. And he's pressing her up against the car. And then it was interesting because all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's good. Like she doesn't want to stop kissing him. All of a sudden he pulls her up until she's not on the ground anymore, just like pressed up against the car. She's got like her legs around him, and they're like, she's like, oh, I'm only wearing a skirt. It would be so easy. Like, even though they're in a parking lot, it would just be so easy to like get what I want. And he tells her, like, stay still, princess.
Yeah, because her hips start moving.
Yep.
He's like, stay still. Love him so much.
So
self-control king. We love him.
yes, because she wants him, but he starts to lower her back down, starts kissing her slower. So that way it's not as, amped up. And then he goes, I'm going to marry you one day.
Yep. Just drops that there.
And he's like, text me when you get home. And she was like, so like, you're just like out of it. And he's like, Hermione, I would like to know when you get home. And she's like, I'll text you. And so they leave. And she like can't stop smiling. You know how like you ever have those days you like drive home and you like roll the windows down, turn the music up, and you're just like it's like I've had those. She's just like, it's a good day. She doesn't even bother to like clean up. She gets home and texts him and says like, I'm home. And then all of a sudden she's starting to realize she's still horny. Like she's like,
very.
You don't know him. And like and it keeps going like she's never been like this. She's never felt like this, but it feels right. That's like the whole thing throughout the whole fic is like both of them are like, it just feels right. Yeah. And Draco texts her and is like, I just got home. And they're both like talking like, oh, I'm not tired. It's hard to go to bed after a goodbye like that. And Hermione takes the jump and says, can I tell you something? And says, I can't stop thinking about it. And Draco's like, I usually have better self-control. And Draco goes, I have half a mind to invite you back to my place. And then Hermione's like, I want you. And Draco's
sends her
like,
address.
yeah, are you sure? Yep. I could be there in 10 minutes.
20 if I'm careful.
20 if I'm careful.
Yes. Yeah.
And then she texts back and says, if it doesn't make you think I'm a slag, yes, I'm very sure. And literally her phone starts ringing and Draco's calling her. And he goes, if you're touching yourself right now, stop.
That's the first thing out of his mouth.
I know.
Yeah.
She like takes her hand out.
Yeah.
And then he goes, first, you're not a slag. Knock that off. And she goes, okay. It's just we've only known each other less than a week. Yes. And he's like, doesn't feel like it.
Oh. That's right, because in every other universe, you're together.
He's like, were you touching yourself? She's like, I was getting started. Why can't I? That's me though. I'd be like, yes, I want to. Why can't I? So he goes, you've got a beautiful and clever mind, and I want to see what happens when you use it to think about how the rest of this night is going to go. That's like,
I know.
Holy shit. Like, don't you just want to like worship the ground that he would walk on? Be like, yeah, you were plucked right from my mind. Like, the perfect.
But his even, I don't know, his not possessiveness, I don't know, his forwardness of just, I don't want you to move till I get there. And she kind of mentions, well, it's kind of a mess. I don't care. Don't move. He commands her.
Give less of a fuck.
Yeah, when you're in that cloudy haze of lust, you don't care. Anyway, so he gets there.
He says, hold on. This is important. I loved this. I loved this whole thing. He says, like, I'll be there in 20. Don't start. And he goes, are you going to be my good girl and keep your hands out of your knickers for me? And she goes, yes. And he goes, say it so I can hang up. And she goes, I'll be your good girl. It's like, fuck. Okay, I'm on my way. I love that. I love the whole, like, you need verbal confirmation and, like, say, like, I love that whole, and it goes back to, like, the power of, like, you need, just
yes.
Yum. So then we're in chapter 3. Now we're in chapter 3. Oh my God. This is my favorite chapter. And I mean, for obvious reasons, there's lots to it that I love. So She waits. She says that, like, she doesn't do anything. She doesn't touch herself. She says that she's like, she can't sit still. She's a mess. The knock came. She gets up. She goes and opens the door. And Draco's like pulling his helmet off. And,
He's all disheveled.
yummy, because he ran as fast as he could. Me too.
Mhm.
And I loved this. She took a step back from the door, and then he came in, closed the door, and locked it behind him, and just like didn't look away from her, just like put his helmet down. And she takes another step back, and he takes another step forward. And so they like do this little dance where like they're not touching. She's just like slowly walking backwards, and he's like slowly walking forward. It goes back to like, it's like this doesn't have the primal play tag because that's not what it is, but you get a little bit of that feel of like he's chasing her, and I love that.
Mhm.
That's just a
Oh,
side
yeah.
note.
Oh yeah.
Side note. They keep going. He finally goes to like touch. He finally like closes the space because she's like biting her lip, so he like uses his thumb to like get the. I don't know how to do that in like a non-weird way. I would imagine it's more like this, right? Like
Yes.
instead, I'm imagining side. I don't know. Anyways, dumb. So the dirty talk in this was also great. We're getting to the smut,
So
obviously. The
good.
dirty talk in this was great. But I also really liked that before they started anything, she pulls out her phone and talks about the birth control that she has, talks about the last time that she got tested, like, because this is a Muggle
Yeah.
AU, so like they're a little bit more I feel like it's so funny in some of the other like non-Muggle ones, nobody's really worried about like STDs, even though I'm sure that's still a thing. But maybe it's not. Magic just like takes care of. Anyways, so they talk about like like if they're queen, and they talk about birth control. And so she says like, I have an IUD. You can do it. And he talks about how long it's been for him. He's also negative. And they just like double check that they're good, that they're ready. And Drake goes, okay, take it off. Get naked. I'm like, ooh.
Uh-huh.
Try to see what
Well, and he makes sure that she's totally 100% sure before
anything happens.
he's like, are you
Mhm.
sure? And the whole, well, when you know, comes back up again. He goes, when you know. It's so cute.
Gives me
Oh,
the warm and fuzzies.
mhm.
Yes.
Really does. So then, they start getting naked. That's our
And
favorite
I'm trying to
part.
find some of like the best dirty talk moments.
Well, and it also has a moment of, like she's completely naked and he's not. Like he's
I
still
love
fully
that.
clothed. So that definitely has a
I love
little thing in here.
Yep.
Oh, he says, say please. He tells her to say please. I love that. Me?
He also says, doesn't he say that she tastes like heaven and then asks if that's just her? He's like, that's
Oh
just
yeah.
you, isn't it?
Or it was either taste or smell. Maybe both.
Uh, probably
But
both. Man, this guy.
anyway.
Were you actually asking earlier proposing to me? Because my answer is yes.
I know exactly. Can I change my answer?
So I thought this, I loved the whole thing. At this point, he's fingering her and he's like, I have to get you ready for me. I don't want to hurt you. That
God.
goes back to like the size kink though. Like, I love that. Like,
Mhm.
and then
Yep.
she's like, oh, you're gonna make me come. And he goes over and over. I love that. The
Oh my
cockiness
God.
of like,
Yes.
I'm gonna do it. And just so good. And then finally, after she's like, you're wearing too many clothes. You gotta, get naked. And then she's like, oh my God, he's huge. Oh, she starts to freak out. And he's like, look at me, calm down, breathe. And he's like, I love that. But he's like prepping her. And and then this is where he puts his hand on her throat as he's like fingering her, getting her ready, like, oh.
Y'all can tell what she's into.
I am so
That's
into
for sure.
this.
Uh-huh.
I'm not joking. Ugh.
I can't judge though,
Again,
because, I'm not a hypocrite.
I know.
So,
The dirty talk is good. It talks a little bit about his tattoos.
Yep.
yeah, the blackout goes up to a
Is
snake.
a serpent. Yeah. The head starts on the right side of the abdomen. Its body curls up.
Abdomen?
I don't care. I am so worked up right now. You can't even correct me on my
Sorry.
freaking English, okay?
Sorry.
Whatever. He says some good dirty talk words.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see. At some point, I think he says something. I mean, Oh, it's just after when they're all done. She's like, stay. And he's like, of course I'll stay. And then he's like, have you ever been to
The Santorini.
Yeah, Santorini?
Yes.
And
There we
she's
go.
like,
Here, let's spend the Malfoy fortune. Yes.
she's like, I haven't. Why? And he's like, we'll go next spring. 2 weeks.
Yes.
How does that sound? And she's like, how do you know you won't tired of me? He's like, because I know. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me we're not meant to be. And she's like, she couldn't. It would be a lie. And he's like, I meant what I said before. I'm going to marry you one day. And she
I
goes,
love
one
it.
day.
I love it.
He's like, I'm not completely crazy. I know there's a lot we don't know, but when you know, you know. We need more time. And then you find out that right there at the end, it's the last little paragraph, last line of chapter 3 that he's like, and Theo told me I was crazy for going back to the cafe that day. And I said, if it's meant to be, she'll be there. Like they
Love
both went
it.
back to that cafe looking for each other.
we're such.
And we're not even done.
We're
The
such
thing's not even
suckers.
over.
We are.
So, chapter 4, I loved this. I thought this was such a cute little epilogue, but not an epilogue because it's only 4 months later. So it's not like years and years and years later and like this is what happened. It's just a couple months later. You find out that she's going to go riding on the back of his bike for the first time. He got her all the new like the proper protection. I don't know a lot about motorcycles, so I'm so sorry. Like
It's like
I
leather.
wish there's like
protect them.
jackets and helmets and gloves and like all sorts of stuff. So he gets her all the stuff and is getting her ready. And he got her a helmet. They match head to toe. Like it's all so cute. And you find out in their helmets, they can talk to each other. They got like microphones. Like it's cute.
Yep.
And he like, there's signals that like the backpacks can do to help the drivers if they like spot something. It's like, there's a police or like we're on a turn,
Yeah,
like that
there's
kind of stuff.
different
Like there's lots of there's lots of
motions.
things that I know nothing about, so I'm not going to try to speak on it. But like they go through all of that and talks about what is like proper motorcycle etiquette and stuff like that. So they get on, they start driving. You find out that they're meeting up with his friends. They're meeting up with the boys. You find out that Draco has had Theo practice for the last 4 months. So since they started dating, he's been practicing.
He'd never had a
Yes.
rider.
Yeah.
So he made Theo be his backpack.
So funny. But I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
So they start, they're driving. They go and they get some sandwiches and some chips for,
A little picnic thing.
They're having a little picnic with the friends. And then they go and it's funny because she's like a little bit of a brat because it's mentioned. And she tells him like, hey, I'm not wearing any knickers. And he like stops immediately and turns around and looks at her. They were in a parking lot at this point. So I think that's important to note. Like he wasn't just stopping in the middle of the road, but like he immediately stopped and turned around and flipped up his visor and was like, ah. So like that's funny. So then anyways, meets the friends. Everybody's so excited because like, oh, you made it. Yay. She's like, oh yeah, it was great. Like she talks about how in the last couple months she gets to know his friends. They're really nice. Talks a little bit about, Blaze and Theo. They all know each other since babies. Adrian was like a tease, which is funny. I don't think Adrian's ever really been included in like a group of friends.
I know, not usually.
And so it was kind of cool that he was, instead of
Depends
it being
on
Goyle.
the fic, yeah. Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting. She talks about his family it's awful and elitist and overbearing, but he wanted to be a writer.
Yep.
He wants to get out and become a writer, and they have these plans for what they're gonna do, and, they would be in their own place, and he'd get to, create, and she would bring him tea, and, you know, they're gonna get married, and he'd get the ring tattooed on his finger and, like, all this stuff, and so
Because when he rides, you take the
Mhm.
ring off for some reason. But yeah, so he wants to tattoo it just so he'll never
He'll
be
never be
without it.
without it.
Yep.
I did swoon a little at that. It's fine.
Yeah, and so they talk about one day a lot. That's, like, what they call their future because he told her at the beginning, like, "I'm gonna marry you one day." And so that's like, "Oh, I'm
Yep.
thinking
And
about one day."
it was mentioned in this chapter, the day after they had sex, that he said, "I love you." The
Mhm.
morning after they woke
Yes.
up, and "I
Yep.
love you," and I went,
Yes, it was too soon to say. Yes, it made her eyes go wide with a nervous laugh. And yes, she said it back.
Mhm. Yep.
I
"Oh."
This fix, seriously, you get smut. And it's good smut. And it gets you a little revved up, but you get like this cute story out of it too. Like
It's so cute. It's
this
so
is
cute.
just this is my one of my favorite Muggle AU like Hermione stories that I've read. And like I said, it's only 4 chapters. And as you're reading it, you're so invested, you don't even realize that you're reading 20,000 words. Like you're flying through, you're devouring this bad boy. And
Yep.
like this, I would say an hour and a half, like to read.
Yeah,
Yeah.
barely.
Probably.
That's kind of like, and that's like giving you some time to like really
Yep.
read it. For those of us that have read it multiple times, you kind of,
Yes. And this is another really good one to, I don't know, necessarily start with. I mean, maybe not, just because I think you said in the beginning, because it's a Muggle AU, maybe start with not a Muggle AU, but I think this is a good one to start Hermione with because it's easy and it's just so sweet. This was one that I recommended my sister read, and she actually read it, and it is her favorite, right behind Remain Nameless. But
I was gonna say, I like this one. I would not use it to introduce people,
yeah.
but I do give it after they've been introduced and they show interest because
Hmm.
Mhm.
yes, Draco and Hermione are Draco and Hermione in this, but they're also not.
Yeah,
And
it's
a
true.
huge part
Right.
of like Draco and Hermione is
Is
like
that they
the
knew each
past, yeah,
other.
the
Yep.
angst, the enemies part, and this they don't
Yes,
have.
that's
So
true. They're not enemies to lovers in this.
I do really like this one, obviously, as you could
Yep.
tell. I've read it a lot of times, obviously.
We
But it's
read it when we love the pairing.
I just read it when I want something super cute and smutty. Like,
So
And
good.
this was pretty good smut, so
It's just so
oh,
good.
the dirty talk in this one gets me every time. I just love it. Mm.
It was fantastic.
So, anyways, any other
So cute.
thoughts about our one shots?
I liked this.
um
We will be doing it again.
Hmm. I have a lot of one shots that I've read.
Yep.
a lot. I do want to make it known because I did forget when they were texting him and
Hmm.
I love how Theo is just always Theo
Yep.
because they were talking about oh God, what did he I have Ginny. I have a
Jenny
friend
says
Ginny.
hi, but
And
Yep.
is
she's
Ginny
married and
hot?
yeah, she's married and
Yes.
has
Has a
kids.
kid. Theo
Theo
likes
likes
hot
hot mom.
moms. I died laughing. That
Ah,
was so funny. And that's so Theo.
Mhm.
So
yep.
anyway, that's it. I just was like, oh.
There's a spider. I'm like, I know exactly what that was.
And that it came running in.
Oh, gross. Get it, girl.
Will
Get it.
Sokka eat spiders?
He'll sniff it, and that's all he does.
Gross. Gross.
Hang on. Are we done talking about the
I was gonna say, is that it?
What are you reading now?
Okay, I'll start. I just
Go
finished.
ahead.
I finished Bride by Allie Hazelwood.
Yay. I
I
still
did
haven't started
finish.
that.
I started. What did I start? Oh, God of Malice. I
Okay,
think
I have heard of that.
Rena Kent. I think
Yeah,
is
okay.
yeah. I'm like 10 pages in. I'm really not far. fan fiction wise, I need to talk about it because it's driving me crazy. I just finished, as far as like it's updated, to I Will Make You Proud by Where Does She Go? And I am salivating at the mouth for the rest.
You know, I wanted to read it, but this is the one that you said Harry and Ron.
Harry and Ron are together in this, yeah. But they're
I don't-
so not a main character.
That's such an odd
awesome.
pairing.
It's mentioned and then
Yeah.
But listen, at first I thought it was a little odd, but then the way that it's described, it's like, oh, Hermione's always kind of noticed that, you know, Harry and Ron have something a little different than like her and Ron do. And like Harry would always turn to Ron first and Ron would always turn to Harry first. And like you find out that when her and Ron started like their little thing, Harry immediately was like, it's not going to work between you two. Like, and she was like, you don't know, but like it was kind of cute the way that it was done. In this one, it made more sense. Like the author does a really good job of like describing it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I'm salivating at the mouth. If this could, because the last chapter that was updated, the last author's note goes, please don't doubt that a lovely HEA is coming. But this is the last chapter before things really implode. I am so ready though. It's so good.
Oh man.
Anyways, and then I don't know if you can see. You probably can't because I've got my phone. Maybe it's too bright. I don't know. I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, there you go.
6,
It's like me.
9,
You guys used
10
to make fun
different.
of me when I did that.
Huh?
I remember you guys used to laugh at me by how many tabs I had
Yep.
open.
I have so many.
I don't anymore because my phone just deletes it after a bit. I don't like
stupid.
that. So I just don't have any open.
I would never read anything if I did not have the tab open. I am very out of sight, out of mind. If it's not open, I forget it exists.
Say I've got so many in here, and they all sound so good, and it's like I can't.
I
decide
know
which one I
I'm
want
like,
to start, and where do I want to? Like I can't. So I have.
Well,
so
I'm having the issue where I start the fic, and then I hear about another one that I'm just a little more interested in, so I drop it and I start the next one. Then I go back and go, I was reading this. Oh, it was really good. Oh, I got to start it again because I can't remember what was happening. Yeah, I'm having a problem with that.
That's what I'm reading. Floor is yours.
Go ahead, Tracy.
I am currently reading, let's see, Daisy's Decision, Ruby Dixon. Still reading Son of Neptune by Rick Riordan, or Riordan, however you want to say it. Yes, I'm aware. I've been reading that forever. I'll read like a few chapters and then I won't pick it up for like 6 weeks, okay? That's how I am, okay? Still haven't finished Jurassic Park, though I'm almost done with it. I'm making myself finish it because I need to finish one book, at least one book a month. And I have like 2 days
Like
left.
1 day.
One day tonight and tomorrow. Anyway, and then what was the fourth one that I was reading? I still haven't finished One Dark Window. I haven't picked that up since like
traveling.
Yeah, I haven't picked it up. Oh my god. Anyway, so I fell into a rut, and then all the we gotta read all these fan fictions, so I can't read those. Like I'm purposely not reading those other books, so I could read fan fiction because I know myself. So
yep.
Anyway. So yeah, that's basically all I'm reading. I just haven't really done anything else. I got more books because I have no self-control.
Me too.
So like
Me too.
got more books. I feel like there was something else I wanted to say, but I can't remember. Oh well.
Well, if you think of it, just interrupt me.
It out. Yeah, okay.
I got my house pet update that I've been waiting for. And it was super good.
But now she's waiting for the next one, so.
I know. Yes, I know. But we're starting to get Dark Draco. And I'm salivating at the mouth, let me tell you. Carrie Ann, you need to start this one. You need to start it. Holy crap. Okay. Anyway, but without giving anything away from the fic, what I'm reading right now, I need to get back to it. The Fear of Letting Go. I think close to halfway through that one. I'm not halfway through. No. I don't know. I'm in the chapter 40 area, but I was kind of angry with it, and so I put it down, and I haven't picked it up in 24 hours because we got
It's
cock
so
blocked.
good. You need to read it.
I was mad. I was mad because I thought there was going to be smut, then there wasn't, and I went, never mind. No, I will. I will pick it back up because I was really enjoying it. But then because I'm always listening to something, I started Manacled today, listening to it because
Really?
I've only read it the once, and this was back when I think I'd been reading Remain Nameless over and over and over again, and this was near the beginning that I decided, and I remember texting Tracy or getting on Marco Polo and going, I did a thing, and I don't know if I regret it yet, and I think I do. I'd started Manacled, and then that was a journey that I couldn't sleep till I finished it.
I
And so
remember being so mad that you had started that one
I
because I'm like,
know.
you've only read Remain Nameless and maybe like a handful of others, and
Yep.
you're jumping into Manacled. Like I was
And
so.
I did, and
Ugh.
I hated it and I loved it.
That's how that fic is,
Anyway,
though.
and now, so after I had read Manacled, I was like, I don't think I can do a dark one again. I don't think I can do those. And so I didn't for a long time. Like I would do a dark one every now and again. And now, right now, I've just been in my era of dark. I want darkness. So House Pet. The other one that Nina being a ballerina wrote, Brand New World. Loved that one. That's another really good one if you want to read that one instead of House Pet. I think House Pet's a little bit darker than that one was, but that one's complete. Brand New World. It was really good. Um, anyway, so I need the darkness around my fluffy heart right now.
Do you remember? Did you ever watch the Lego movie?
No.
Because all I'm thinking is the darkness, no parents song that Batman sings. So
I own all those movies, and my
you've
husband has
never
tried to get me
seen
to
the
watch
Lego
them. I
movie?
can't stand them. Oh,
Why?
I don't know. There's just some movies I just cannot stand. Like Cloudy with a
That's
Chance of Meatballs. I think that is one of the
You're just
worst
wrong.
It's so
films I've
funny.
ever seen.
It's so funny. So Carrie Ann, wait, she just doesn't have taste. Is that what you're getting?
Well, here's the thing.
Well,
You
nobody has
compared
taste
to
compared to
Shrek,
me.
and I'm like,
Nobody has
Shrek?
taste compared to me,
Shrek is,
honestly.
wait, hold on.
Shrek
Holly,
has
say that again.
adult crude humor in it.
So does
Cloudy with
Cloudy
a
with a
Chance.
Meat. That
No,
has
it's different.
puns. It
It
has
is
puns.
different. Anyway, I don't know what it is. I don't know why I never liked it.
That's sad. I didn't think
I
I would
know.
like Lego Movie, honestly. I saw it with my friends because I'm gonna get canceled for this. I hate Will Ferrell. I hate him
Why
with
would you
every
get
fiber of
canceled
my
for
being
that?
because everyone freaking loves him for
I
just
love him, but I don't hate you for it.
the only thing I will ever tolerate him in, okay, there's two now, is Step Brothers because it's just a
I
classic,
love Step Brother.
and Barbie. So because he's unfortunately in Barbie. So
Oh my
I was like,
goodness.
everything else, I hate Elf. I hate it.
I love Elf.
I will not watch it. Like it's just
Have
ooh.
you ever seen Blades of Glory? That's a
I
great Will
think I've
Ferrell
only
one.
seen it once. I don't. I
That's
will purposely
fantastic.
not watch things with him in it because I don't want to like the movie if he's in it.
But then
So
there's movies I hate. I hated Talladega Nights. That is one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
it's fine.
anyway, I mean, and yeah, Lego Movie. It's fine. It's a good movie. I don't know what you're talking about. And this is back when Crisp Rat, I guess, is what we call him now, Crisp Rat. He was still he was in his jerk era before it manifested into a complete asshole. So anyway, I have opinions, y'all.
Anyway.
Anyways, I'm gonna cut all that out.
That's fine. That's fine. Please do.
I guess that's it. So join us next time as we discuss Good by Love's Bidcut 8.
Yep.
This one is locked on AO3, so you do need to have an account. FYI.
an announcement. I'm sure
Yep.
everyone knows.
Everyone
already,
knows.
But
Yep.
Love Spica 8, the auction is going to be a book. And the author, I've read her books before.
You've read her other books?
Yes. And I was like,
Nice.
Didn't
son of a
realize that
bitch.
it was her?
I didn't know.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's kind of
fun.
the point. But yeah, I read the others and I was like, hold on. I didn't quite like the auction. Only because it was dark. It was
I
fantastic.
do. I love the
It's how like
auction.
Manacled is. Like Manacled is fantastic. I don't want to talk about it. Like, and same with the auction. I liked the auction, but like I'm okay, and I'm like, God damn it, I'm gonna have to buy him now to to support all the fanfic authors.
Yep.
I gotta buy their stuff.
That's right.
They deserve all the money. So anyway.
Yep.
I'm so sorry, Carrie Ann.
It's okay. You just interrupted me every chance you get tonight, and it's fine. I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
We'll just call it there. Join us next time. Okay, bye. Germani Fanfic Fanatics is a fan podcast that discusses and reviews fanfiction written by various authors, based on the characters Hermione Granger and Draco Malfoy from the Harry Potter series, created and owned by J.K. Rowling. We do not own the rights to the Harry Potter series, its characters, or any of the fanfiction works mentioned in this podcast. The purpose of our podcast is to provide commentary, analysis, and entertainment related to the fanfiction community and to foster a sense of community among fans. We respect the creative efforts of fanfiction authors and consider their works as transformative interpretations of the original source material. All fanfiction works discussed on this podcast are the intellectual property of their respective authors. We aim to provide proper attribution and promote the fanfiction community by linking to the author's original works where possible. This podcast is created for entertainment purposes and is not intended to infringe upon the rights of the copyright holders. If you are the author of a fanfiction work discussed on this podcast and would like us to remove or modify our content related to your work, please contact us and we will promptly address your request. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge and agree to the terms of this disclaimer.